This is my mom, and that is my dad. My parents both immigrated to the United States from Jalisco, Mexico in their teens. They grew up 30 minutes away from each other, but had to travel 1,500 miles to meet. That is my older brother. He's 5 years older than me. He has a family of his own now. And this is me. I grew up in Valley Center, a very small town in northern San Diego County. I'm talking 7 stoplights and no grocery store small. Although my parents could both speak English fluently, they only spoke Spanish at home. This meant that I started school not sure of my own ability to speak English. This had a big impact on my confidence, and I would try my hardest to fade into the background because I was so scared that when I did talk, I'd say the wrong word. I was placed into a transition program, and by 2nd grade, I had sufficiently mastered English and was put back into a mainstream classroom. For me, this created a cultural divide in my life. I became 2 different people. The Yvette at home, who was only allowed to speak Spanish, and the Yvette at school, who only spoke English just to prove to herself that she could, who felt pressured to abandon her culture in order to succeed. Although I attended schools with a large majority of Latinx and Native American students, my social studies teachers didn't stray far from the Eurocentric histories contained in the textbook. The stories were always the same. The Aztec people were powerless when faced with the mighty Spanish. The narratives of the Native American people mentioned as an afterthought. For the most part, minority groups were portrayed as if they needed to be saved, or they simply weren't visible at all. Parquet states, in developing a multicultural curriculum, you should be sensitive to how your instructional materials and strategies can be made more inclusive so that they reflect cultural perspectives or voices that previously have been silent or marginalized in discussions about what should be taught in schools and how it should be taught. Effective teachers attend to these previously unheard voices, not as an act of tokenism, but with genuine desire to make the curriculum more inclusive. History is complex, with multiple perspectives. As an educator, I will strive to build enduring understanding in my students by teaching them complex narratives that reflect their own cultural backgrounds. Using a variety of teaching methods to benefit students' various learning styles, I will work to validate students' cultures through the lens I present them, not erase it. Geneva Gay's work concerning culturally responsive teaching states, culturally responsive teaching is validating and affirming because it builds bridges of meaningfulness between home and school experiences, as well as between academic abstractions and lived socio-cultural realities. Giving students the opportunity to see themselves represented in the instructional materials as more than just secondary characters is important. The stories we are told affect how we live our lives, how we see other people, and how we think about ourselves. When the leading role is a reflection of our students, we empower them to not only become successful learners, but to become confident in their own personal cultural identity. As an educator, I will strive to create a safe and engaging learning environment so that all students are empowered leaders in their own communities, schools, and future college. It is imperative that we make historical content relevant to students today to explain modern conditions by creating enduring understanding through complex narratives. To do so, it is critical we utilize culturally responsive teaching strategies to create a community of learners who apply their experiences and cultures to the content. When we approach learning this way, perspectives shift and people change. The weak Aztec become the powerful Nahua people they always were and are. Narratives of the once powerful and oppressed emerge to shed light on where we are today. It validates students' cultures, building a bridge so that no student has to divide their identity between home and school again. This is my mom, and that is my dad. My parents both immigrated